15 foods that may be destroying your memory, and you can't even imagine. Did you know that what you eat every day may be silently erasing your memories? Is that seemingly harmless ingredient in your kitchen accelerating the aging of your brain? Why are so many young people suffering from mental confusion, forgetfulness, and even early signs of dementia? The truth is that food has a direct impact on brain function, and some common foods in our daily lives may be sabotaging your mental health long before you realize it. These villains of the modern menu infiltrate our meals with attractive labels, addictive flavors, and the false sense of practicality. But what exactly do these foods do to your brain? In this video, we'll reveal what these 15 dangerous foods are, explain why they affect brain health, and what you can do to protect yourself right now. Let's get started. What causes dementia, and how can diet be behind it? Dementia is not a single disease, but rather a set of symptoms that affect memory, reasoning, and behavior. It can be caused by several neurological conditions, with Alzheimer's being the most common type. However, environmental factors and lifestyle habits play an important role in accelerating this process. Among these factors, food has gained prominence in recent scientific studies. Foods high in sugars, bad fats, and chemical additives can cause chronic inflammation and oxidative stress, two conditions that directly affect neurons. Calm time, these constant aggressions to the brain can contribute to the loss of neuronal connections and cell death. The result? A slower mind, frequent forgetfulness, and, in more severe cases, the development of dementia. The good news is that many of these effects can be prevented with more conscious food choices. Is it possible to reverse the damage caused by these foods to the brain? Although there is still no definitive cure for most types of dementia, such as Alzheimer's, studies show that it is possible to reduce damage and even recover part of cognitive functions when changes are made in time. The brain has an impressive capacity called neuroplasticity, which allows it to create new connections and adapt to different situations, even after suffering damage. But this recovery only happens when we eliminate the agents that are harming its structure. Removing foods that cause inflammation, oxidative stress, and insulin resistance from the diet can be a decisive step in this process. In addition, the inclusion of protective and anti-inflammatory nutrients can help restore important functions such as memory, focus, and mental clarity. The key is to act early, before the damage becomes irreversible. What happens in your brain when you consume these foods every day? By frequently eating foods rich in sugar, trans fats, and chemical additives, a true silent storm forms inside your brain. These compounds increase the levels of inflammation in the body, including in the brain regions responsible for memory, attention, and processing informations. Calm time. This inflammatory environment interferes with communication between neurons, disrupts the production of neurotransmitters, and can even alter the shape and function of brain cells. In addition, excess glucose circulating in the blood can also cause insulin resistance in the brain, a phenomenon that has been linked to Alzheimer's in recent studies, such as those published in the Journal of Alzheimer's Disease. The result of this combination is devastating. Memory lapses, difficulty concentrating, feelings of mental confusion, and, in prolonged cases, progressive cognitive degeneration. All of this is often caused by foods that seem harmless at first glance. What are the consequences of ignoring these dietary warnings? Ignoring the signs that your diet is harming your brain can have devastating long-term effects. At first, the symptoms may seem harmless: small forgetfulness, difficulty staying focused, or frequent mental fatigue. But over time, these signs evolve into more severe cognitive losses, impacting your ability to make decisions, remember important information, and even maintain autonomy in your daily life. Dementia does not appear overnight. It is built slowly, often fueled by years of poor choices at the table. Studies indicate that an inflammatory diet can accelerate brain aging by up to 6 years, according to the journal Neurology. And the most worrying thing is that when the symptoms become evident, part of the damage may already be irreversible. Therefore, recognizing dangerous foods and adjusting your diet in time can be a game changer in your mental health. How to protect your memory and brain health starting today. The good news is that small daily changes can have a profound impact on your brain health over time. Eliminating or reducing inflammatory and ultra-processed foods as much as possible is the first step. Give priority to natural foods, rich in antioxidants, omega-3, B vitamins, and anti-inflammatory compounds, such as red fruits, dark green vegetables, nuts, and fatty fish. In addition, keeping the body hydrated, exercising regularly, and sleeping well are also factors that help protect and regenerate the brain. Another essential point is to stay mentally active, learning new things, socializing, and stimulating reasoning. Remember, dementia can have multiple causes, but prevention largely involves what we put on our plate every day. Your brain is one of your most valuable assets, and taking care of it is a lifelong investment. What tests can help identify the first signs of cognitive impairment? Early detection of any sign of cognitive impairment can be decisive in slowing or even preventing the progression of dementia. Therefore, it is essential to be aware and perform exams that evaluate not only the brain, but also the general health of the body, which directly impacts brain function. Standardized cognitive tests, such as the Mini Mental State Examination, MMSE, are often used to assess memory, language, and orientation. In addition, imaging tests such as magnetic resonance imaging and computed tomography can detect structural changes in the brain. It is also important to perform laboratory tests to check levels of vitamin B12, folic acid, thyroid function, glucose, and inflammatory markers. These tests help identify reversible factors that may be affecting your cognition. Consult a healthcare professional for a complete and personalized evaluation. The sooner the investigation begins, the greater the chances of preserving your memory. 1. The sweet poison that may be destroying your memory without you realizing it. Refined sugar is present in practically everything. Breads, cakes, soft drinks, industrialized juices, ready-made sauces, and even in savory foods. But what few know is that this seemingly harmless candy can be one of the brain's greatest enemies. When consumed in excess, sugar causes blood glucose spikes, which leads to a series of inflammatory responses in the body, including in the central nervous system. In addition, continuous sugar intake negatively affects communication between neurons and impairs brain plasticity, the brain's ability to adapt, learn, and form new connections. Recent studies published in the journal Diabetologia show that high sugar levels are associated with the shrinkage of the hippocampus, a region that is fundamental for the formation of memoria. Calm time, this shrinkage can turn into permanent cognitive losses. Another important point is that sugar contributes to increased oxidative stress, damaging brain cells and accelerating brain aging. The momentary sensation of pleasure that sugar offers comes at a high cost. Difficulty concentrating, memory lapses, and a higher risk of developing dementia. Keeping an eye on labels and reducing daily consumption can be an essential step in protecting your mind. 2. The hidden fat that erases your memories. Day after day. Trans fats are artificial substances created to give more flavor, texture, and durability to industrialized foods. They are present in margarines, stuffed cookies, snacks, fast food, and even in some bakery breads. The problem is that, when they enter the body, these fats trigger an inflammatory process that affects not only the heart, but also the brain. According to a study published in the journal Neurology, high levels of trans fat in the blood are associated with a significantly higher risk of developing Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia. This happens because these fats alter the composition of cell membranes and impair the fluidity of neurons, making it difficult to transmit brain signals. In addition, they raise bad cholesterol and reduce good cholesterol, compromising cerebral blood circulation, which can lead to the death of nerve cells due to lack of oxygen and nutrients. The brain, an organ highly dependent on healthy fats, suffers even more when these bad fats take their place. The good news is that by eliminating trans fats from the diet and replacing them with sources of good fats, such as avocados, olive oil, and fish, It is possible to strengthen cognitive function and protect mental health in the long term. 3. The ready-made snack that may be sabotaging your brain health. Ultra-processed foods are increasingly present in people's daily lives, mainly due to their practicality and irresistible flavor. They include cookies, frozen meals, sausages, breakfast cereals, soft drinks, and various snacks for quick consumption. What many do not know is that these foods go through such intense industrial processes that they lose much of their original nutrients and gain excess chemical additives. Colorings, preservatives, flavorings, and flavor enhancers, when consumed frequently, alter brain chemistry and favor chronic inflammatory processes. Studies published in the journal JAMA Neurology indicate that high consumption of ultra-processed foods is related to the shrinkage of areas of the brain linked to cognition, such as the prefrontal cortex. In addition, these foods are usually low in fiber, vitamins, and antioxidants, essential elements for proper brain function. Excess empty calories leads to weight gain, insulin resistance, and metabolic imbalances that directly affect brain health. The body can even satisfy hunger with these products, but the brain continues to lack fundamental nutrients for its preservation. Swapping ultra-processed foods for more natural and fresh options can be a decisive step in keeping your mind alert and protected against cognitive decline. 4. This common ingredient may be inflaming your brain in silence. Gluten, a protein found in wheat, barley, and rye, is present in breads, pastas, cakes, and many industrialized products. Although not all people are sensitive to gluten, studies show that its consumption in excess can cause intestinal inflammation and consequently affect the brain. The relationship between gut and brain is so close that it is already called the gut-brain axis by science. When the intestine is inflamed, it can allow toxic substances to pass into the bloodstream, triggering an inflammatory response that reaches the central nervous system. This inflammation can affect areas of the brain responsible for memory, attention, and emotional balance. In people with gluten sensitivity, even if they don't have diagnosed celiac disease, it's common to see symptoms such as mental confusion, chronic fatigue, irritability, and difficulty concentrating. Research published in the journal Frontiers in Human Neuroscience identified that excluding gluten from the diet in sensitive patients resulted in significant improvement in cognitive function and mood. If you notice that you feel mentally tired or disconnected after consuming certain gluten-containing foods, it's worth talking to a healthcare professional and considering an exclusion test to observe the effects on your mental well-being. 5. Innocent sweeteners that may be poisoning your mind. Artificial sweeteners are widely used by those who want to reduce their sugar consumption without giving up the sweet taste. Present in zero soft drinks, candies, chewing gum, light yogurts, and various diet products, they seem like a healthy alternative. But are they really? One of the most used is aspartame, which has already been the subject of several studies for its possible neurological effects. Research such as those published in the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition points out that frequent consumption of artificial sweeteners can alter brain chemistry, affecting the production of neurotransmitters such as dopamine and serotonin. These changes can lead to anxiety, depression, irritability, and memory lapses. In addition, there is evidence that aspartame can generate an accumulation of methanol in the body, which in excess is toxic to the nervous system. Although there is still debate in the scientific community about the true extent of the effects, the potential risks warrant caution. The brain is extremely sensitive to chemical imbalances, and artificial substances like these can do more harm than good, especially with constant and prolonged use. Opting for natural sweeteners, such as pure stevia or xylitol, and reducing your reliance on sweet taste can be a smart decision to protect your mental health. 6. Do you have a lot of salt in your routine? It may be confusing your mind. Salt is essential for electrolyte balance and nerve function, but in excess, it can turn into a real villain of brain health. Industrialized foods, such as sausages, canned goods, ready-made seasonings, salty snacks, and frozen meals, usually contain very high amounts of sodium, often without the consumer realizing it. Studies, such as those published in the journal Nature Neuroscience, reveal that high salt consumption is directly linked to lower blood perfusion in the brain, that is, less blood and oxygen reaching neurons. This can compromise areas responsible for memory, attention, and even emotional control. In addition, excess sodium affects endothelial function, which regulates blood flow and contributes to the development of hypertension, one of the main risk factors for vascular dementia. Another worrying point is that excess salt can stimulate inflammatory responses in the body, further damaging brain health. The danger lies precisely in constancy. Small daily doses accumulated over time can cause great damage. Controlling salt does not mean eliminating it completely, but replacing artificial sources with natural seasonings, fresh herbs, and fresh foods. This simple change can improve your cognition and protect your mind in the long run. 7. A type of meat loved by many, but feared by neuroscience. Processed meats are present at breakfast, afternoon snacks, and even in quick lunches. Ham, sausage, salami, bologna, and bacon are classic examples. Despite the striking flavor and practicality, these foods hide real dangers to brain health. They contain high levels of nitrites and nitrates, chemical preservatives used to enhance color and increase durability. According to a study published in the journal Molecular Psychiatry, frequent consumption of processed meats is associated with a higher risk of neurodegenerative disorders, including early dementia. These chemicals can promote brain inflammation and impair the functioning of neurons over time. In addition, these meats are rich in saturated fats and sodium, which contributes to the development of cardiovascular disease, hypertension, and insulin resistance, all factors that compromise brain health. Chronic consumption is also related to increased oxidative stress, which favors the degeneration of nerve cells and the shrinkage of regions important for memory and learning. Opting for less processed protein sources, such as eggs, fish, fresh chicken, or legumes, can protect the brain and keep its cognitive functions sharper for much longer. 8. The oil you use every day may be weakening your memory. Refined vegetable oils, such as soybean, corn, canola, and sunflower oil, are among the most common ingredients in modern cuisine. They seem harmless at first glance, but they hide a serious problem when consumed in excess and frequently. These oils go through industrial processes that involve high temperatures and the use of chemical solvents, which compromises their nutritional quality. In addition, they have a high content of omega-6 fatty acids, which, although necessary for the body, when consumed in imbalance with omega-3, favor inflammatory reactions in the body and brain. Research, such as those published in the journal Brain, Behavior, and Immunity, shows that the chronic inflammation caused by this type of fat can directly affect brain areas related to memory and emotional control. Another worrying factor is the oxidation of these oils when heated, releasing toxic compounds that affect neuronal function and accelerate brain aging. Over time, the constant use of these oils can contribute to mental confusion, reduced cognitive performance, and even increased risk of neurodegenerative diseases. Replacing them with extra virgin olive oil, coconut oil, or ghee can be a simple and powerful way to protect your brain on a daily basis. 9. The fast food that may be erasing your brain. Future fast food is synonymous with convenience, taste, and speed. But it can also be one of the biggest aggressors of your brain health. Industrialized hamburgers, fries, nuggets, soft drinks, and ready-made sauces are part of the routine of millions of people around the world and are directly linked to cognitive decline. These foods combine several dangerous elements: excess trans fats, refined sugars, sodium in large quantities, chemical additives, and absence of fiber or essential nutrients. It is an inflammatory cocktail that, when consumed regularly, alters brain biochemistry and favors the loss of neuronal connections. According to a study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, frequent consumption of fast food is related to lower performance on tests of memory, attention, and learning even in young people. In addition, the junk food-based diet increases the risk of obesity, type 2 diabetes, and cardiovascular disease, all of which are associated with higher chances of developing dementia. The brain, like the body, needs quality fuel to function well. And fast food, while momentarily satiating, doesn't deliver the nutrients needed to keep your mind alert, stable, and protected. Making more conscious choices, even on busy days, can preserve your memory and lucidity in the future. 10. The social habit that may be killing your brain cells in silence. Drinking socially is a common, accepted, and even encouraged habit in many cultures. But excessive consumption of alcoholic beverages, even if sporadic, can have serious consequences for brain health. Alcohol is a neurotoxic substance. That is, it has the potential to directly damage neurons. When consumed in large quantities, or frequently, it interferes with communication between brain cells, reduces neurogenesis, which is the formation of new neurons, and causes shrinkage of regions important for memory, such as the hippocampus. Research published in the journal The Lancet Public Health points out that alcohol is among the main preventable risk factors for early dementia. In addition, alcohol compromises deep sleep, which is essential for memory consolidation and the clearing of toxins from the brain during the night. Over time, the effects accumulate. Difficulty remembering simple information, lack of mental clarity, and increased vulnerability to neurodegenerative diseases. Even those who drink in a moderate way should evaluate the impact of alcohol on their routine and consider periods of abstinence to allow the brain to recover. Consciously choosing when and how much to drink can be decisive in preserving your mental health in the long run. 11. This soft white ingredient may be robbing you of your mental clarity. White flour is present in many of the most consumed foods on a daily basis: breads, pastas, cakes, pies, snacks, and cookies. It is produced from refined wheat, a process that removes much of the fiber, vitamins, and minerals, resulting in a high-calorie food, poor in nutrients, and with a rapid glycemic impact. When ingested, white flour quickly turns into glucose in the blood, causing sugar spikes and releasing excess insulin. This constant cycle of glycemic rises and falls impairs brain function, affecting the ability to concentrate, memory, and emotional stability. Studies such as those published in the journal Appetite show that diets high in refined carbohydrates are associated with a higher risk of depression, mental fatigue, and even cognitive disorders. In addition, the excess of this type of carbohydrate favors systemic inflammatory processes, which can extend to the brain and contribute to the emergence of neurodegenerative diseases. The feeling of comfort provided by breads and pastas may be temporary, but the long-term impacts on the brain are significant. Replacing white flour with whole grain versions rich in fiber and nutrients can help stabilize metabolism and preserve your cognitive functions for much longer. 12. A sweet, invisible attack. On your neurological health, foods with a high glycemic index are those that rapidly raise blood sugar levels after consumption. White breads, refined rice, potatoes, sweets, soft drinks, and sweetened breakfast cereals are some examples that are part of many people's routines. These rapid glucose spikes stimulate intense insulin production, which in the long run can cause insulin resistance, a factor directly linked to brain health. Recent research, such as those published in the Journal of Alzheimer's Disease, indicates that this type of resistance can affect the regions of the brain responsible for memory and decision-making. For this reason, some scientists already refer to Alzheimer's as type 3 diabetes. In addition, the constant consumption of foods with a high glycemic index promotes chronic inflammation, oxidative stress, and the accumulation of free radicals, which damage neurons over time. It is a slow and silent process, but it undermines mental clarity, reduces the agility of thought, and favors cognitive degeneration. Replacing these foods with low glycemic options, such as legumes, whole grains, and fruits with peels, can stabilize glucose, protect brain function, and ensure more mental energy throughout the day. 13. Colored additives that hide a devastating effect on the brain. Artificial dyes are everywhere. In candies, soft drinks, gelatins, cereals, ready-made cakes, and even in children's yogurts. These additives are used to make foods more appealing, but they can come at a high cost to brain health, especially in children and the elderly. Studies such as those published in the journal The Lancet have already associated the frequent consumption of artificial dyes with increased symptoms of attention deficit, hyperactivity, and changes in cognitive behavior. Some dyes, such as tartrazine yellow, E102, and Allura red, E129, are pointed out as triggers for inflammatory reactions and neurochemical imbalances. The brain, especially during development or aging, is extremely sensitive to chemical syntheticas. Continuous consumption of these additives can impact memory, concentration, and emotional stability, contributing to the decline of cognitive functions. Most of these additives offer no nutritional value. They're just aesthetics and marketing. Opting for natural foods, free of dyes, or choosing versions with natural dyes such as annatto, turmeric, or beets is a way to reduce exposure to potentially neurotoxic substances. The change may seem small, but its effects on the mind are powerful and long-lasting. 14. The practicality of canned food can take a heavy toll on your memory. Canned foods are seen as quick and practical solutions for everyday life. Beans, vegetables, soups, fish, and even fruits and syrup are common on supermarket shelves and on the menu of those looking for convenience. But what many overlook is that these products can contain preservatives, heavy metals, and chemicals that directly affect the brain. One of the main villains is bisphenol A, BPA, a compound present in the inner lining of many cans. Studies such as those published in the journal Environmental Health Perspectives reveal that prolonged exposure to BPA is associated with hormonal changes and impairments in cognitive functions, especially memory and learning. In addition, many canned goods have excess sodium and preservative additives that favor inflammatory processes in the body, including the central nervous system. This inflammation can interfere with communication between neurons, make it difficult to reason, and accelerate brain aging. Even if the food itself is healthy, such as tuna or corn, the contact with the chemical coating and the load of additives makes the final product harmful when consumed frequently. Giving preference to fresh, frozen, or glass-packaged versions is an effective way to avoid these risks and take care of your long-term mental health. 15. The fuel you use to wake up may be draining your mind. Coffee, energy drinks, and caffeinated beverages are part of the routine of millions of people around the world. They promise energy, focus, and productivity. And, in moderate doses, caffeine can even have cognitive benefits. The problem arises when consumption exceeds healthy limits. Excessive caffeine intake overloads the nervous system, increases levels of cortisol, the stress hormone, and can cause anxiety, insomnia, irritability, and even memory failures. Studies in the Journal of Alzheimer's Disease warn that, in high and constant amounts, caffeine can compromise the quality of deep sleep, essential for memory consolidation and brain regeneration. And it doesn't stop there. Many energy drinks contain, in addition to caffeine, refined sugar and artificial additives, creating a dangerous neurostimulant effect when consumed in excess. Over time, this overload can impair mental clarity, reduce concentration, and accelerate neurological wear. The brain needs rest, hydration, and nutrients, not continuous aggressive stimuli. If you feel like you need more and more caffeine to function, it may be time to review your routine and look for natural ways to recover your energy and protect your brain health. A balanced awakening is worth more than hours of artificial hyperactivity. Your brain is your connection to the world. It is where his memories, his ideas, his emotions, and his identity live. Taking care of it is not just a health choice, but an act of self-love. Many of the foods we put on our plates every day seem harmless, but little by little, they may be erasing who we are. The good news is that it's never too late to change. Every meal is an opportunity to protect your mind, strengthen your memory, and preserve your lucidity. It is not a question of restriction, but of awareness. Start slowly, replacing what is bad for you with more natural, more alive, more real options. And above all, consult a health professional to receive personalized guidance. Your future starts with the choices you make today. Give your brain the care it deserves. It will be with you for life.